GD. We want to welcome those of you joining us now via GBN Television and GBN's social media platform. I'm Janelle. It's great to be in your company again once more. Folks, it is World Youth Skills Day being celebrated today, July 15th. Yes, it's a celebration that started, I think, in 2014. Before we get to the discussions, I just wanted to give you an insight as to what World Youth Skills Day is. And we have a very short excerpt from Mr. Royden Bihari. He is the Youth Development Coordinator in the Ministry of Youth, and he's going to tell us more about World Youth Skills Day. So if you could get that video now, please.
Today we join with others to recognize the importance of developing the skills of young people in 2021. Young people are vital to our future, and we believe championing their skills development through technical, vocational education, training and development will help close the well-documented skills gap and ultimately help, because skills change lives. With more than 500,000 companies struggling to fill vacancies, yet still high youth unemployment, businesses need to take a more proactive and active role in helping prepare our young people with the prerequisite skills and attitude needed in the world of work. Beyond filling the skills gap, businesses need to constantly innovate and change to retain a competitive edge in a dynamic market, and young people are uniquely placed to address both issues. The business case for engaging young people is very clear. The greater the different types of people we employ, ages, gender, and cultural background, the greater diverse thoughts and the more innovative we become. Businesses, big and small, can all help get more young people in the workplace. The digital economy has been a key driver in the economic recovery, but without the relevant skills, we won't be able to fulfill our potential. As digital natives, young people are perfectly placed to fill this gap. Employers play a central role when it comes to improving young people's access to the labor market. And it is vital that organizations bring in young people if they are to build the skills they need for future successes. At the Division of Youth Development, we are passionate about mobilizing the ambitions and skills of new generations to build a better future for themselves and for our world. We help achieve this by developing skills, attitude, and competencies among our young people to feed the business.
Okay, well, that ended a little abruptly. But nevertheless, folks, that was Mr. Royden Bihari. He is the youth coordinator in the Ministry of Youth Development. And he was just expounding on World Youth Skills Day, which is being celebrated today across the world. And we have joining us this morning on the program the Marketing and Communications Officer of the National Training Agency, Mrs. K. Julian Gutu, who will tell us more about the agency and their initiatives, which, as you know, over time has been skills-based and training and certification. We also have a number of students who are in skills-based programs, and we will hear from them how the programs have been going post-COVID, their challenges, their successes, and how they like basically how their programs are going. So, Kay, I'll invite you to go first.
Yes, good morning, Janelle, and thank you for having us on the program. Thank you for having all the young people here on the program this morning. And I hope that this program is going to be a wealth of information to the Grenadian public. So we are observing that it's a national training agency. We are joining with the rest of the world with Grenada. And as we've just listened to Mr. Royden Bihari of Youth, today's focus is on World Youth Skills Day. It is an observance of the United Nations. It started in 2014. And the body that is the organizer of this event is UNESCO UNIVOC. UNIVOC is the International Center for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. Now, we at the National Training Agency, we're one of two institutions in Grenada that are UNIVOC centers. So UNIVOC has different centers around the world. So we are one. Also, TMR Community College is also another center because they also deliver technical and vocational skills training in Grenada. So as part of the observance, there are a number of activities that are done, and we're supposed to bring awareness and some kind of focus to youth skills in Grenada. So one of the things that we are doing today is this interview that we have on the GBN this morning, where the young people will talk and share their skills and what they have been doing, their passions. We also had another interview on GIS this morning. Plus, we circulated a news release so that the public would be informed about, what the day is about. There are other activities that young people can join in today, which would include a regional forum, an international discussion. And all of these things are done via Zoom. So again, the virtual world has changed how we can actually have young people from Grenada actually tune into an international conference and listen to other young people and participate in that conference. And that's taking place today. There was also a photo competition and a story competition where people could share their stories. So we are hoping that next year we can send out this information much earlier so that our own skilled young persons can take part in the photo competition and the story competition. But the focus this year, or the theme of the activities this year, is World Youth Skills, Reimaging Youth Skills Post-Pandemic. As we all know, 2020 was a rough year. For education, for technical and vocational skills in general, for the whole world, as a matter of fact. It became quite difficult to deliver training. We experienced it in Grenada. We even know for our own school system and education system, some schools were closed for a while. Persons had to deliver learning from online to students from within the home setting. And the same thing was for technical and vocational education as well. It is even more difficult for technical and vocational education and training because a lot of skills are hands-on, competency-based. And unless you have the tools and the platforms and all that is required to deliver such training online, it becomes difficult to do it in such an environment. So some of our programs did pause for a while until we could, get some online classes going again and so on. So we were not really prepared for the pandemic. And so the young people will give you their challenges, the challenges that they encountered in such a time. They may also share the opportunities that they have for advancing their career and how they are now adapting to this post-COVID-19 world, how they're adapting skills training and how they are, surviving in this environment that we are currently living in. There was so much disruption in Tibet and so on that it is something that we need to focus on. So I am glad that we are doing this program, and I would just turn over to you so that you can speak to the young people and they will share their own resilient stories with you from last year into this year.
Okay, wonderful. I was listening. I was hoping you would say the theme because I saw some literature saying reimaging, some saying reimagining. So I was wondering, but either works actually. So all is well. So let's get to our students this morning. We have Junior Thomas. He is undertaking plumbing studies at NULO, the New Life organization. We have also Mr. Ethan Bailey, an IT student of TAMCC. Mr. Timothy Houston, he's undertaking beekeeping and apiculture studies with the Sky Project. And the lone female, Vashtiana Gooden, she's undertaking patient care orderly studies, CVQ level 2 under the CVQ level 2 program. That's with NTA?
Yes.
This is a project SIEP.
Oh, SIEP under the SIEP project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll start with the lone female. How has it been going? What challenges has COVID placed for you since you started studies? And how are you coping?
It hasn't been that hard actually. I mean, it's a lot of changes actually, but as I go on to time, I had to adjust. I had to do a lot of challenging work, In the health sector itself is more challenging, but it's a great experience for everyone. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity itself to be there in that health sector, to be exposed and to help a lot of persons who are not able to be helped.
Okay. I'm guessing healthcare is a lot of hands-on work. Were you able to do any on-the-job training? I know a lot of places had restrictions and so letting people into the workplace.
Yes.
But you were able to get some in.
Yes. It's one of my passions. I love doing what I love to do. And if no one likes to do that, obviously it might be a little challenge for them. But at the same time, it's what you love. You have your passion itself.
Okay, awesome. And at the end of the training, what is it you hope to achieve?
I would like to achieve in continuing studying to become a doctor itself, because that is the reason why it is I joined this program, so that I can have actual exposure to see how it's like in future-wise in becoming a doctor.
Mm-hmm. And that's your stepping stone, and that is key. Oftentimes we hear that people are book trained and the skills and so are lacking. So I'm happy that the focus is on the skills and you're embracing the opportunities that are being presented to you.
Yes.
Are you incorporating virtual work as well with your studies?
Yes, right now, we have some projects to do before we actually do assessments and exams itself. Because as for now, we're finished itself. So right now, we actually doing some assessments to finish up the course to get that certificate done.
Okay, awesome. I want to go to the budding beekeeper, Mr. Houston. Tell us why you chose that area of study.
I chose that area of study because at an early age, I was introduced to beekeeping by my brother Jesse Houston. And I also grew up around many beekeepers at an early age, as I said earlier on. Beekeeping has been a passion to me because it's a calming thing, and the vibrations of the bees while you're working in them actually is really calming, and it helps you to relax. Contrary to popular belief, people think that it might be a scary experience, but really and truly it's really calming. I really like beekeeping, and I initially started beekeeping because I liked honey.
Well, that is a good reason to get involved. As you say, beekeeping, I mean, as you say, a lot of people have a fear of bees. And you're saying bees, and I'm thinking about getting up and running on the road right now. But you say it's calming. Interesting.
Yeah, it's calming. The vibrations of the bees around you, the constant buzzing kind of helps you to relax.
Okay, I'm learning today. So tell us, how has COVID, or has it disrupted your life at all? And your studies?
Well, COVID hasn't really given so much of a big impact on my studies at the campus up here at Good Hope, because the program that I'm doing doesn't really require as much interaction as the other programs that was stated earlier on. Yes, we have our theory practices and our practicals, but the theory, the only effect I could say that COVID had on our theory is that the meeting times, we didn't really, at certain times we couldn't meet together, and that sort of slowed us down, but we are back up and we're going good. The practical, however, COVID hasn't had any effect on our practical work. We're doing okay, and we're going strong as ever.
Okay. You'd have to walk me through this here, because I'm not familiar with apiculture studies. What is an average day like for you?
Okay. Well, an average day for me is in class is you go to class, you do your theory work, You take notes. It's like class in school, actually. With every class, you take notes and you study, you do exams and stuff like that. At the ending of the class, however, we get different activities to do, different scenarios to work out in our heads and stuff like that. The practical is more fun because you get to move around. You get to interact with the bees themselves. You get to go into the hives. You even get to taste the honey. You get to do multiple different things that you don't know. It's a really fun experience.
Sounds like an interesting experience. I'm taking it at the end of the studies, you want to get into bee production commercially?
Well, at the end of my studies, my goal is to establish my own business and possibly teach other people to come along. In some sense, I'm planning to like set a trend so people could come behind me. I could teach them, and yeah.
Awesome. Great going. Timothy, I want to go now to the plumber, and simply because I should have left you for last, but I'll go to, I had a plumber do some work for me about 3 weeks ago, and with the bill, I nearly had to take out a second mortgage. So I know that is one of the thriving industries and a very lucrative career choice. Tell us about how COVID has been affecting your studies in since it started over, a year and a half now?
First of all, New Law wasn't on my mind last year to go to. But this year, I realized that, children needed skills. So I decided to go to New Law, and I had two options, to do electrical or plumbing. But I didn't do anything about electrical in secondary school, so I decided to do plumbing to learn something. During COVID time, we have seen a lot of distractions, especially in our class. But I wouldn't say that people distracting us. I would say that we allow stuff to distract us. We get to learn so many things. The basic first, we started with the basics. We started with the fixtures, how to put up face basins. And the first few weeks of the class was only theory. So we get notes on different clusters. We have 4 clusters to do. We get notes on all the clusters. So right now it's only practical. We were asked who want to go out on job training. I didn't choose to go out because I didn't feel like I was ready, and I didn't learn as much yet to go out on job training.
How long is the course?
The course started in April, so by next year, April, we are supposed to finish.
Okay. Would you have another opportunity for on-the-job training?
Yeah.
Okay. I always find it to be an interesting area of study. Okay. You say you've been learning to do phase basins, I guess basic pipe connections and those types of things.
Yeah.
You said something that stayed with you. We allow ourselves to become distracted. I'm glad that you realize that and you're focusing on not being distracted, yes?
Yeah.
Awesome, Junior. Okay, so let's hear from who we have. Ethan. Ethan is the IT student at TAMCC. It looks like you're in school today.
No, I just worried because
you're just representing. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So tell us how your studies have been going at the TAMCC.
Well, because I'm on internship right now, I have completed most of my degree, so I'm just waiting on some final exams. But before that, when COVID first hit, it was a bit difficult, especially because it's IT, so we heavily rely on technology and all these stuff. So the delay made all the exams that were supposed to be scheduled for earlier made it later on. So we eventually had to end up doing it later on, even the following year as earlier this year. So the lockdown especially was a bit infuriating at times. And the distractions from other stuff, because we had everybody home. You had nobody away, so we didn't have no externalities where we could express ourselves. So it was difficult for not only us, but the faculty and the staff, because I know of some of the teachers and stuff who had to basically create a new system in order for them to be able to teach our students better than how it was before.
I think that was a learning curve for us. I know a lot of people had IT and virtual plans for their organizations, but I think COVID fast-tracked a lot of that for almost every sector. You're on the job, you're doing some training now?
Yes, on internship. So I'm just learning from a business and stuff, trying to practice my skills.
Fantastic. What you envisioned it to be, being in a IT career field, is it similar to what you had envisioned now that you're actually on the job getting some experience?
Yes, to an extent, because I'm doing just a little bit of training, not as much as if I was fully involved into like full stack development or something, which I want to get into. So it's partly similar, but it's getting there. So it's good for me.
Okay, tell us a bit about your career goals.
So I'm currently trying to pursue university at first, and then I want to work a little bit for a business as a full stack development, which is both like back end and front end design, so creating applications as well as databasing as well. And then I also want to own my businesses and doing a lot of stuff, because I also want to develop in some psychology as well and some entrepreneurship. So I want to create my own business and run it and then invest. It's a lot, but I'm trying to plan it out and do it as best as I can.
Yeah, I'm so happy and hopeful because each of you this morning outlined that you're not studying to get a job somewhere. You're studying to become entrepreneurs, to work for yourselves, to employ more people. Okay, I'm very happy and hopeful with what I'm hearing this morning. Fantastic. You mentioned university. Would you continue following online learning, or you think you want to get into a classroom setting?
That has been a difficult question, especially for me and my family. I think I want to do a mixture of both, because at first it is very expensive for a university away, because I want to do it in the US or Canada, which is leaning towards Canada a little bit now. But for the first year at least, I think it's better to do online, and then I want to blend in some more in person so I can get the atmosphere of college and get that full college experience.
Okay, a mixture of both. Awesome. Kay, from your end, are you satisfied that, I know we've had some challenges with COVID, but from your training programs, are you satisfied that you're able to accomplish the goals you'd have set out initially?
Well, last year, we are involved in a number of projects, including the Climate Smart Agriculture Project, which is SIAP. So we had a number of training programs under that. We still do have some training in progress. The program that Vashti is under, Vashtiana, the patient care orderly, that is one of the SIAP projects. Timothy Houston is also in a funded project, which is the SKY, the Youth Skills for Youth Skills for Employment in the Eastern Caribbean project. It's called SKY, and that is one he's doing with the beekeeping, apiculture. So some of our talent out here this morning, they're on some of these projects. And then we have Ethan at TAMCC, who is on today, Junior at NULO. We have a range of persons. Yes, from an NTS standpoint, we also have other training that's taking place. We have a number of training providers that are approved by us. And definitely the lockdown last year, especially between the period of April to about July, much of what was in progress, some of our programs definitely stopped and slowed. And then training providers who had the means and had in some way already started doing flexible and blended learning, they were able to put some of their programs online, or they use some of the tools and platforms that were available to them to continue their training. So some persons, just like we're using Zoom this morning, they started delivering their classes via Zoom, via WhatsApp, via Google Meet, and so on. So at least some of the theory could continue. The practical sessions were more difficult to, unless you have simulators and so on, which are very expensive and which most programs here don't have simulators in place, you would definitely have to be in some lab, or if you, for example, if you're doing food preparation, cookery, you need to be in some kind of kitchen practicing that. How do we know that you have all the ingredients in your home, all the equipment? Most students wouldn't have that. And especially if you're talking about maybe rural or impoverished students, if you're going like junior involved in plumbing, all the things you need to practice the plumbing, you need to be in some kind of practical space or environment that would give you hands-on experience in that. So this is where the difficulty this is where the difficulty lied for us with the COVID experience, where persons could not interact. And then also there is a question of class sizes for even the theory, if you're going to be in a physical space, because remember the 6 feet distance and all of that we had to, the protocols that school institutions and training centers had to meet to reopen. Actually, we actually had to go through a process like that with the Ministry of Health to get approval for classes to continue, to make sure that centers were meeting protocols. It meant that maybe you had to divide your classes into 2 sessions, and there are cost implications for those things. If you have a larger class size and you know, because you have to pay instructors extra, because if your instructor was doing one class, let's say 2 classes a week, and each class was an hour, if you have to split the class, they may not have to do 4 classes and all of that. So there are cost implications as well for training centers to make their class sizes smaller. So those were some of the difficulties and challenges that we had to face, and that training centers and training providers basically had to deal with and come up with solutions. We're still working on solutions, things like making programs more flexible, having the blended, where, as Ethan was saying, you have some online and then you still get the practical experiences and so on, which would make it much easier in the environment, the post-COVID environment that we are living in right now.
Okay. Going back to the World Youth Skills Day, I know there were several activities you mentioned earlier, including a competition. Did we have anybody from Grenada participating in the competition, the online competition?
No, unfortunately not this year, but we are hoping that we will have access to the information much earlier, because there were deadlines. And by the time we didn't think of Grenada, I believe the Sky Project tried to get maybe if they could participate in the story, where they could produce small short videos and submit that. But again, the deadline was too short for that. So we will see if next year we can get the information and circulate it earlier among training centers, training providers, etc., and even in the media, so that persons can participate in the photo competition, because you can send photos of yourself. And I believe I sent some of the posters to GBN. Maybe you could, if you have access to them right now, you could probably post them up, where they showed and they did collages of the photos that probably won the competition last year, and they combine it into a poster. So this is what they do. The very good photos that are submitted, they put it out into a poster that is sent out internationally, that can be displayed in centers and around the world. So I hope that we can have our young people submit photos next year, so that it can be included in the poster. They can, submit really good posters of photos of themselves involved in their skill, and also the videos telling their skill story that can also be included on the UNESCO Univoc portal, that the entire world can have access and see. It would be good for Grenada that that we have persons who have either won or participated in those activities.
Okay, I don't know if you could see, but those of you on television and social media, I'm sure you can see some of those photos now on the poster. We're not in any of them from Grenada, no? I can't tell.
No.
hopefully next
No,
year
Grenada does
we'll make
not
the
have-
poster.
We will try to do it next year.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we go though,
But the whole point of the day is that to lend some focus and to celebrate with our young people the importance of equipping our young people with skills for employment. As you've heard the young people say, they're interested in entrepreneurship. And this is one of the things that we want to focus on and that we push at the NTA, that persons receive the skills, develop skills that can lead to decent work, entrepreneurship, and employment. So I'm very happy that we have had the young people on this morning that they could share their stories with you.
Fantastic. Looking forward, I'm sure they would have inspired some young people looking on this morning. Quite a few of them are at home and tuned in. What programs do you have for the upcoming semester that young people can look forward to, especially in the skills area?
So the National Training Agency itself does not directly deliver skills training. So persons who are interested, and I deal with correspondence on this every day, plus we have a website and we can direct persons to our website, which is www.grenadanTA.gd. And on the website, under our services, persons can have access to the centers, the approved centers that deliver training in Grenada. So persons, if you're interested in area, also our occupational standards, all of the standards that are approved in Grenada for training are also on the site. Persons can, and then under the training centers, you will see what the training centers are approved to deliver. Persons can contact the centers themselves and try to get into a program that is delivered at those centers. So the centers operate independently, delivering the training. So young people have that access. We also have a program called Assessment of Prior Learning. So persons who already have skills, at least 2 years experience in their field, and they're not certified in any area, they do not have certification, they can come to us at the NTA and to be assessed and certified for that skill against the occupational standard. So persons can contact us. They can find all the contact information on the website, or they can contact us via email, info@grenadanTA.gd. They can contact us via WhatsApp, and that is 534-6797. They can call us direct, 435-9092 or 9093. So that's our contact. But we're also on Facebook as well. So there are many ways persons can find us so that we can advise them and give them help how they can receive skills training throughout Grenada. Mm-hmm. Yes. So the prison is an approved training center of the NTA. So they do training that leads to CVQ and NVQ certification, and they have been doing that for a number of years now. So they usually be involved in several projects, as well as private training. So I believe right now they're involved in the Sky project, maybe involved in other projects, as well as doing private training. But yes, the prison is one of the approved training centers of the National Training Agency.
Okay, you have 30 seconds to wrap. What are you leaving us with?
So we would like our private sector to support our young people. Many of our young people on the program today spoke about being involved in internship or job training. And we would like, we cannot do it alone. We provide the skills training, but they also need experience. So we are asking our private sector, our business entities, our business partners to come forward and provide the internships, the skills training for the young people so that they can get the necessary experience to build their skills, the skill sets and their skills levels. Also, we would also like the private sector to partner with us and also to seek for their own employees, the ones that they have working with them, to be certified and to be assessed, certified or trained, so that we can all develop skills in Grenada for everyone and that we can have a very productive workforce in the country.
Fantastic. So, folks, there you had it. The skills is where the money's at. It's where the training is being done. You see the young people, they are excited and they're ready to move forward. So next year, July now, so if you need plumber, you can contact Mr. Junior Thomas. If you need some IT work done, who are we looking for? Ethan Bailey? Yes? If you need some honey, you go to the beekeeper, Mr. Timothy Houston. If you need some healthcare, we'll be checking Ms. Vastiana Gooden. Lady and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We really do appreciate. Okay, thanks so much for engaging us. And happy World Youth Skills Day.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Folks, we have to leave it here. It is 19 minutes on to 12. Don't forget, at the top of the hour, we have the midday edition of news coming your way with Christelina John. I'm Janelle. It's always a pleasure to be in your company. Have a great Thursday. Bye-bye.